The sun is setting over Thebes. The heat of the day is fading. The streets are cooling. The city is settling into the rhythm of evening. In a small weaving workshop in a residential quarter, a woman named Nefert is finishing her work. She is a weaver, a maker of cloth. Her hands transform flax fibers into linen, the fabric that clothes Egypt, from peasant to pharaoh. Each day, she sits at her loom, her fingers moving through threads, creating patterns, producing fabric. And at the end of each day, there is a ritual. The checking of tension, the covering of work in progress, the securing of the loom against the night. Tonight, like every night, Nefert will secure her loom at dusk. Let us join her as the light fades. The workshop is a single large room with high windows along one wall. Light streams through these windows, golden and slanting, illuminating the space with warm evening glow. The walls are whitewashed mud brick. Plain. Practical. Designed for work rather than beauty. The floor is packed earth, swept clean, scattered with occasional linen fibers that have drifted down during the day's work. Against the far wall stands the loom. A vertical loom. Tall. Substantial. Made of wood. Two upright posts support a horizontal beam at the top. From this beam, the warp threads hang down, weighted at the bottom with clay weights. The fabric being woven, a length of fine linen, hangs between the warp threads. Perhaps 3 feet already completed. The work of many days. Nefert sits on a low stool before the loom. She's a woman in her late 30s. Her hair is dark, worn in many small braids pulled back from her face. Her hands are her most notable feature, strong, nimble, marked with small calluses from years of working thread. She wears a simple linen dress. White. Clean. Practical. Her feet are bare, easier for feeling the pedals and maintaining balance while working. Around her neck hangs an amulet, a small wedge eye. For protection and blessing. Before her, the loom stands. Her tool. Her livelihood. Her craft. The day's work is nearly done. Just a few final tasks remain. Nefert is weaving the final row of the day. Her shuttle, a flat wooden tool woven with weft thread, moves through her fingers with practiced ease. She passes it through the shed, the opening between the raised and lowered warp threads. The shuttle glides across, the weft thread trailing behind it. Then she pulls the thread snug. Not too tight. Not too loose. Just right. Her fingers find the beater, a flat wooden tool, and she uses it to pack the new weft thread down against the previous rows. The motion is firm but gentle. Too much force and the warp threads might break. Too little and the fabric will be loose. Uneven. She works with the sensitivity born of years of experience. Her hands know the proper tension. The right amount of pressure. The correct rhythm. She repeats the process. Shuttle across. Thread pulled. Beater pushed. Row by row. Thread by thread. Fabric grows. It's meditative work. Repetitive but not boring. Each row requires attention. But the attention becomes automatic, freeing the mind to wander. Nefert has woven countless lengths of linen. This piece is good work. Even. Fine. It will fetch a good price at market. The final row of the day is complete. She sets down the shuttle. Examines her work. Good. Time to prepare the loom for the night. Nefert stands. Stretches slightly. Her back protests. Hours of sitting. A focused work. But it's a familiar ache. Part of the trade. She steps closer to the loom. Examines the fabric she's created. The linen is fine. The threads are thin. Closely woven. This will be quality cloth. Suitable for a wealthy household. Or perhaps for temple use. She runs her hand along the surface. Feeling the texture. Checking for irregularities. The weave is even. No loose threads. No gaps. No mistakes. Good. She checks the edges. These are particularly important. Uneven edges make the fabric difficult to work with later. Harder to cut and sew. But the edges are straight. Clean. Professional. Nefert allows herself a moment of satisfaction. This is good work. Work she can be proud of. She's been weaving since she was a girl. Learned from her mother. Who learned from her mother before her. 3 generations of weavers. All teaching the same skills. The same standards. Nefert has maintained those standards. Even improved them. Her fabric is known for its quality. That reputation matters. It brings customers. Ensures steady work. She turns from the fabric. Time to secure everything for the night. The warp threads are the foundation of the loom. These threads run vertically. From the beam at the top to the weights at the bottom. They must remain under consistent tension. Not too tight. Not too loose. If the tension varies, the fabric will be uneven. Flawed. Nefert moves along the loom. Checking each section of warp threads. She plucks them gently. Listening to the sound they make. Feeling the resistance. Like tuning a musical instrument. Each thread should have the same tension. The same feel. Most are good. But she finds one section that's slightly loose. 3 threads that have lost some tension. This happens. The clay weights sometimes shift. Or the threads stretch slightly over time. Nefert adjusts the weights. Adding small pieces of clay to increase the weight slightly. Then checks the tension again. Better. Now it matches the other threads. She continues checking. Plucking. Listening. Feeling. All the other threads are good. The warp is properly tensioned. Ready for tomorrow's work. Nefert returns to her stool. Picks up the shuttle. There's still thread wound on it. Perhaps enough for another 10 rows of weaving. She could leave it as is. But experience has taught her to check everything carefully before leaving for the night. She examines the thread on the shuttle. Looking for weak spots. Places where the thread might break. Flax thread is strong. But not invincible. Sometimes there are thin spots. Knots. Imperfections. Better to find them now than in the middle of tomorrow's work. The thread looks good. No obvious problems. But she unwinds a bit. Checks further. Runs it through her fingers. Feeling for inconsistencies. All seems well. She rewinds the thread onto the shuttle. Neatly. Evenly. Then sets the shuttle on a shelf beside the loom. Safe. Ready for tomorrow. She also checks her supply of prepared thread. Balls of spun flax. Ready to be wound onto shuttles as needed. She has 5 balls remaining, each one representing hours of spinning, done by her or by women she pays to spin for her. Spinning is tedious work, transforming raw flax fibers into thread. It requires patience, consistency. Narrated prefers weaving, the creation of fabric from thread. That's where her skill truly lies. But thread supply is essential. She makes sure to always have adequate stock. 5 balls should last another week. Then she'll need to acquire more. Either spin it herself or purchase it. She makes a mental note. On a small shelf beside the loom sit Narrated's weaving tools. The beater, a flat wooden tool used to pack down the weft threads. A pointed stick, used for picking out mistakes or adjusting individual threads. A small knife, for cutting thread. Narrated examines each tool, checking for damage, for wear. The beater's edge is smooth, worn from years of use but still functional. No splinters, no cracks. Good. The pointed stick is fine, sharp enough for its purpose. The knife is slightly dull. She'll need to sharpen it soon, but it will do for another few days. She arranges the tools neatly on the shelf, in their proper places. Easy to find tomorrow. Organization is important. A cluttered workspace leads to mistakes, inefficiency. Her mother taught her that. Everything in its place. Then you always know where to find it. Good advice. Narrated has followed it her whole career. At the bottom of the loom hang dozens of clay weights. These are donut-shaped, made from fired clay. Each one carefully made to be approximately the same weight. They're strung onto bundles of warp threads, pulling them down, creating the tension that makes weaving possible. Narrated checks each weight, looking for cracks or damage. Clay is durable when fired properly, but it can break. A broken weight means uneven tension, flawed fabric. She examines them carefully, one by one. All seem intact. No visible cracks. No chips. Good. She also checks that each weight is properly secured to its bundle of threads, that none have worked loose. All secure. The weights represent significant investment, both in materials and time. They were made by a potter she knows, fired specifically to her requirements. She takes care of them, treats them as the valuable tools they are. With proper care, they'll last for years, perhaps decades. Her mother's loom weights, she still has some of them, still uses them. 30 years old and still functional. Good tools. Well made. Well maintained. They endure. As Narrated checks the loom, a memory surfaces. She's young, perhaps 8 years old, sitting beside her mother at a loom much like this one, watching, learning. Her mother's hands moving through the threads. Swift. Sure. Creating fabric as if by magic. Watch the tension, her mother had said. Too tight and the warp breaks. Too loose and the fabric is uneven. Feel it. Learn the right tightness by touch. Young Narrated had tried. Her small hands fumbling with the shuttle, making mistakes, creating lumpy, uneven rows. But her mother had been patient. Everyone starts this way. You'll learn. Keep practicing. And Narrated had practiced. Day after day. Month after month. Year after year. Until the motions became natural. Until her hands knew what to do without conscious thought. Until she became a weaver. Not just in name, but in skill. In mastery. Her mother has been dead for 5 years now. Fever took her one winter. But Nefret still hears her voice sometimes. Still follows her teachings. The knowledge passed down. Preserved. Continued. Nefret is teaching her own daughter now. Merit. 10 years old. Learning the craft. The chain continues. Generation to generation. Mother to daughter. Weaver to weaver. The fabric on the loom must be protected overnight. Dust. Insects. Moisture. All can damage unfinished work. Nefret takes a large piece of clean linen from a shelf. Kept for this purpose. She drapes it carefully over the loom. Covering the warp threads. Covering the fabric in progress. The cloth settles gently. Protecting everything beneath. She tucks the edges in. Making sure the covering is secure. That it won't blow away if a breeze comes through the window. This is part of the daily ritual. The loom must always be covered when not in use. It's a sign of respect. For the loom. For the work. For the craft itself. Nefret's mother had been insistent about this. Never leave work exposed. Treat it with care. Then it will serve you well. Nefret has never forgotten that lesson. Even when she's tired. Even when she's eager to leave. She always covers the loom properly. It's the right thing to do. Against one wall of the workshop are shelves holding supplies. Raw flax. Processed and ready for spinning. Spun thread in various thicknesses. For different types of fabric. Finished cloth. Waiting to be sold or delivered to customers. Nefret does a quick inventory. Raw flax, adequate. Perhaps enough for another month. Spun thread, running low, as she noted earlier. Will need more within a week. Finished cloth, 3 pieces completed. Ready for sale. 1 fine linen. 2 coarser weaves for everyday use. She makes mental notes. What needs to be obtained? What can be sold soon? Managing supplies is part of running a weaving business. She must balance what she has against what she needs. Plan ahead. Avoid running out of essential materials. It's not just about weaving. It's about management. Planning. Business sense. Her mother taught her the craft. But she's learned the business aspects herself. Through experience. Through mistakes and successes. She's become good at it. The workshop provides a steady income. Supports her family. That's success. Not wealth. But stability. Security. More than many have. Nefret looks around the workshop with appreciation. This space is hers. Rented from a landlord. But hers to use. To work in. It's not large. Just 1 room. But it's adequate. The high windows provide good light during the day. Essential for seeing the fine threads clearly. The walls are thick. Keeping the space relatively cool even in summer's heat. The door is sturdy. Locks securely. Protects the valuable loom and supplies. Nefret has been in this workshop for 10 years. Since her mother died. Since she took over the business fully. Before that, she worked in her mother's workshop. Learning. Assisting. Gradually taking on more responsibility. Now it's all hers. The business. The workshop. The reputation. Sometimes the responsibility feels heavy. But mostly she feels proud. She's made this work. Built on what her mother created. Perhaps even improved it. Her fabric is well regarded. Customers return. Recommend her to others. That's legacy. That's achievement. Not fame. Not glory. Just steady, good work. Recognized and valued. The floor needs sweeping. Throughout the day, linen fibers fall. Accumulate. Create a soft layer on the packed earth. Nefret takes a broom from the corner. Made from palm fronds bound to a stick. She sweeps carefully. Gathering the fibers into a pile. These fibers aren't waste. They can be collected. Used for making coarser thread. Or for padding. Or even for starting fires. In a weaving workshop, little is wasted. Flax is too valuable. Too labor-intensive to produce. Nefret sweeps the fibers toward a corner. She'll collect them later. Add them to a basket of similar scraps. When the basket is full, she'll process them. Find a use for them. Nothing wasted. Everything utilized. That's good practice. Both economically and practically. The floor is cleaner now. Not perfectly clean, that's impossible in a weaving workshop. Fibers are always present. Always falling. But clean enough. Tidy. Ready for tomorrow. Nefret returns the broom to its place. Nefret moves to the shelf holding finished cloth. 3 pieces. Completed over the past weeks. She unfolds the first piece slightly. Examining it. Fine linen. Very fine. The threads are thin. The weave is tight. The result is a fabric that's almost translucent when held to the light. This took weeks to complete. The thread preparation alone was extensive. Then the weaving. Slow. Careful. Every row demanding attention. But the result is beautiful. This fabric will command a high price. It's destined for a wealthy household. Already commissioned. The customer will collect it tomorrow. The second piece is coarser. Still good quality. But using thicker thread. A tighter weave is unnecessary for its purpose. This is everyday linen. For clothing. For household use. Practical rather than luxurious. But still well made. Durable. Will last for years with proper care. The third piece is similar. Another length of everyday linen. These she'll take to market. Sell to whatever customers are interested. They'll sell quickly. Everyone needs linen. It's the fabric of Egypt. For clothing in the heat. For wrapping. For bedding. For 1,000 uses. Nefret refolds the pieces carefully. Returns them to the shelf. Tomorrow she'll deliver the fine linen. Take the others to market. But for now, they wait. Safe. Ready. Nefret thinks about her family waiting at home. Her husband, Kamwasit. A carpenter. Good with his hands. A good provider. A good partner. They've been married 15 years. A solid marriage. Built on mutual respect. Shared responsibility. He understands her work. Doesn't resent the long hours she spends weaving. Knows it's necessary. That it provides for the family. And she understands his work. The demands of his craft. The physical toll it takes. They support each other. That's what makes it work. And their children. 3 of them. Merritt, the eldest. 10 years old. Learning to weave. Already showing skill. Seti, their son. 7 years old. Energetic. Curious. Kainwasit is teaching him carpentry. And little Nefertari. Just 4 years old. Still mostly playing. But watching. Learning by observation. The family as well. Healthy. Provided for. That's what all this work is for. The long days at the loom. The attention to detail. The constant care. To feed the children. To clothe them. To give them opportunities. To pass on skills that will serve them in life. That's purpose enough. More than enough. Nefert does one final walk around the loom. Checking everything one last time. The warp threads, properly tensioned. Covered. The weights, all secure. Undamaged. The fabric in progress, protected by the covering cloth. The tools, organized on the shelf. The supplies, inventoried. Managed. Everything is in order. Everything is ready for tomorrow. Nefert feels satisfied. The day's work is complete. The loom is properly secured. She can leave now with confidence. Knowing everything is as it should be. This final check is important. It's easy to overlook something when you're tired. When you're eager to leave. But that's when mistakes happen. A forgotten tool. An uncovered loom. A loose weight. Better to take the time. To check carefully. To do it right. Then you sleep well. Without worry. Without concern that something was forgotten. Nefert has learned this over the years. The value of thoroughness. Of care. It serves her well. In the corner of the workshop is a small shelf. An altar. Simple. Just a wooden board mounted to the wall. On it sits a small clay figure. A goddess. Tauret. Protector of women and children. Patron of weavers, among other things. Beside the figure is a small offering. A piece of bread. Some dates. Left this morning. Nefert approaches the altar. She's not deeply religious. But she respects tradition. Honors the gods who watch over her work and family. She touches her fingers to her forehead. A gesture of respect. Whispers a brief prayer. Thank you, Tauret, for protecting my work. For guiding my hands. For blessing my family. Watch over us through the night. Simple words. But heartfelt. The gods may or may not listen. Nefert doesn't know. But it feels right to acknowledge them. To show gratitude. For the skills she has. For the work that provides. For the family that thrives. She straightens. The prayer is complete. One more ritual done. Nefert stands in the center of the workshop. Looking around one final time. The light has faded considerably. The golden glow has dimmed to a softer amber. Shadows are lengthening. Soon it will be too dark to work anyway. The light through the windows will be insufficient for the fine work of weaving. Time to go home. Nefert moves to the door. Pauses. Turns back. The workshop in the fading light. Her loom standing tall. Covered. Waiting. This space has been her second home for 10 years. More hours spent here than anywhere else except her actual home. She knows every corner. Every quirk of the light at different times of day. Every sound the loom makes when weaving. It's familiar. Comfortable. Hers. Tomorrow she'll return. Uncover the loom. Continue the work. But for now, the day is done. She opens the door. Steps out into the street. The door to the workshop is heavy wood. Painted blue for protection. Nefert pulls it closed behind her. It has a sturdy lock. Bronze. Well made. She produces a key from a pouch at her waist. The key is tied to her belt. Always kept close. She inserts the key into the lock. Turns it. The mechanism resists slightly. The lock is old. But it still works. She hears the bolt slide into place. Solid. Secure. The workshop is locked now. The loom and supplies protected. Nefert tests the door. Pushing against it. Making sure. It doesn't budge. Good. Inside that workshop is her livelihood. The loom represents significant investment. The supplies are valuable. The finished cloth even more so. They must be protected. Nefert has never had a break-in. Never had anything stolen. But she's careful nonetheless. Vigilance prevents problems. She tucks the key back into her pouch. Secures it. Then turns toward home. The street outside the workshop is busy even at this hour. People heading home from work. Children playing in the dust. Women chatting in doorways. The residential quarter. Working people. Artisans. Craftsmen. Laborers. Nefert's neighbors. Her community. She knows most of them by sight. Many by name. There's a potter 2 doors down. A sandal maker across the street. A basket weaver at the corner. All making their livings with their hands. All part of the same fabric of urban life. Nefert walks slowly. No need to rush. Her house is close. Just 3 streets away. Perhaps a 5-minute walk. She passes a bread seller. Still selling the last loaves of the day. The smell is wonderful. Warm. Inviting. Nefert has bread at home. But this bread is fresh. She stops. Purchases 2 loaves. Small expense. But a small pleasure. Fresh bread for the evening meal. The seller wraps them in a cloth. Hands them to Nefert. Thank you, weaver. Thank you. Nefert continues walking. The bread warm in her hands. The neighborhood is familiar. Home. Nefert has lived here her whole life. Born in a house on the next street. Raised in these lanes. Married and moved just 3 streets away. Her mother's workshop was here too. Just around the corner. Her whole world, in a way. These few streets. This community. She could have moved elsewhere. Perhaps to a wealthier quarter. As her business grew, it would have been possible. But why? Here is familiar. Comfortable. Her people. And rent is more affordable. Leaving more profit for the family. For savings. Practical considerations. But also emotional ones. This is home. These streets. These neighbors. This community. Leaving would feel like losing something. Some essential connection. So Nefert stays. Builds her life here. Raises her children here. In the same streets where she was raised. There's comfort in that. In continuity. In belonging. Nefert reaches her house. A modest mud brick structure. Whitewashed walls. A painted door. 2 rooms and a small courtyard. Not large. But adequate. Comfortable. Home. She can hear sounds from inside. Children's voices. Kimwasit saying something. Movement. The sounds of family. She smiles. Pushes the door open. I'm home, she calls out. Mother! Merritt's voice. Excited. Children appear. Merritt and Seti. Little Nefertari toddling behind. They surround her. Talking at once. Telling her about their day. Kimwasit appears from the back room. Smiles. Welcome home. Thank you. I brought bread. Good. I was just thinking about starting the meal. The family moves together toward the courtyard. The transition from work to home. From weaver to wife and mother. Different roles. But all part of who Nefert is. All important. All valued. The courtyard is small. Open to the sky. A cooking area in one corner. Storage along one wall. A few potted herbs. Simple. Functional. But pleasant. Nefert sets down the bread. Moves to the water jar. Washes her hands. Her face. The dust of the day. The fibers that cling to her clothing. The water feels good. Cool. Refreshing. Kimwasit is tending the cooking fire. A clay pot set over it. Something simmering. Lentils, by the smell. The children have returned to playing. Merritt is showing Seti something. A technique she learned today. How to twist thread properly. The boy is trying to follow. His fingers fumbling. Merritt is patient. Encouraging. Nefert watches them. Feeling contentment. This is her life. The workshop in the home. The work in the family. Woven together. Like the threads on her loom. Creating a pattern. A fabric of daily existence. Good. Complete. Enough. The family gathers for the evening meal. Sitting in the courtyard. On mats. Around the food. The lentils that Kimwasit prepared. The bread Nefert brought. Some onions. Dates. Beer to drink for the adults. Water for the children. Simple fare. But good. Nourishing. They eat together. Talking. Sharing the day's experiences. Kimwasit tells about a project. A chair he's making for a customer. The wood is challenging. Beautiful but hard to work. Merritt talks about her weaving practice. The rows she completed today. How her hands are getting stronger. Seti describes something he saw on the street. A man leading a donkey loaded with goods. Where he imagines they were going. Little Nefertari just eats. Happily. Messily. Content to be with her family. Nefert listens. Responds. Shares her own day. The fabric she's completing. The commission she'll deliver tomorrow. This sharing. This connection. It's as important as the food itself. The family is a unit. Functioning together. Supporting each other. That's what makes life work. What makes the hard days bearable. What makes the good days joyful. When the food is gone, Kamwasit and Nefert clean up together. Gathering the dishes. Taking them to a basin for washing. The children play nearby. Still full of energy despite the day. Nefert washes. Kamwasit dries. A routine they've developed over years. Working together. Sharing the household tasks. It's not traditional. In some households, the woman does everything domestic. The man only his craft. But Nefert and Kamwasit have a partnership. They share. They help each other. It works for them. Makes life easier for both. When the dishes are clean, they return to the courtyard. The light is fading now. True dusk. The sky above deepening to purple-blue. Stars beginning to appear. Faint. Then brighter as the light fades further. Kamwasit tends the fire. Banking it for the night. Enough to keep embers alive. Not so much that it's wasteful. Nefert sits. Just breathing. Resting. The transition from work to rest. Merritt comes to sit beside her mother. Mother, she says. Can I ask you something about weaving? Of course. Today, when I was practicing, my edges kept getting uneven. One side tighter than the other. Why? Nefert considers. You're pulling the weft thread with uneven tension. When you pass the shuttle through, you must pull the same amount on both sides. Feel it. Your hands will learn the right feel. But how do I make my hands learn? Practice. Pay attention. Notice when it feels right. When it feels wrong. Gradually, your hands will remember. Will do it automatically. Merritt nods thoughtfully. Like you do. Like I do now. But when I was your age, I had the same problem. Your grandmother was patient with me. As I'm patient with you. Did grandmother teach you everything you know? Most of it. She was a skilled weaver. Very skilled. I learned from watching her. From practicing under her guidance. Will I be as good as you someday? Nefert smiles. Touches her daughter's cheek. You'll be as good as you choose to be. If you practice. If you pay attention. If you care about the work. Then yes. You'll be very good. Merritt seems satisfied. Reassured. The conversation is simple. But important. The passing on of knowledge. Of encouragement. Of craft. Mother to daughter. Weaver to weaver. The chain continuing. As the darkness deepens, the children's energy finally wanes. Seti yawns. Little Nefertari is already drowsy. leaning against her father. Bed, Nefret says gently. No protest. They're tired. The family moves inside. To the sleeping room. Simple mats on the floor. Woven from reeds. Linen sheets. Headrests carved from wood. Not luxurious, but comfortable enough. Kamwasit settles Seti and Nefertari, covering them, whispering goodnight. Nefret does the same with Merit, tucking the sheet around her, smoothing her hair. Sleep well, little weaver. Good night, mother. Within moments, the children are drifting. Their breathing slowing, deepening. The sleep of the young, deep and immediate. Nefret and Kamwasit return to the courtyard, leaving the children to rest, to dream whatever children dream. Nefret and Kamwasit sit together in the courtyard. The stars are bright now, the sky dark, the city around them settling into night's quiet rhythms. They talk softly. About plans. About concerns. About small matters. The fine linen she'll deliver tomorrow. The price agreed upon. The customer's satisfaction likely. The chair Kamwasit is making. The challenges. The satisfaction when it's complete. Merit's progress in weaving. How she's improving. How she might truly have skill. Seti's energy. His curiosity. How to channel it productively. Small talk. Domestic concerns. But important in their way. This is partnership. Sharing. Planning together. Managing a household. Raising children. Building a life. It's not always easy. There are hard days. Disagreements. Challenges. But mostly it's good. Solid. Built on mutual respect and shared effort. Nefret values this. Values him. Values what they've built together. After a while, the conversation fades. They sit in comfortable silence. Just being together. At the end of another day. In the quiet, Nefret's mind wanders. She thinks about the loom. Standing in the workshop. Covered. Waiting. Tomorrow she'll return. Uncover it. Continue weaving the fabric. Row by row. Day by day. The work progressing. Until the piece is complete. Until it's cut from the loom. Becomes cloth. Serves its purpose. Then she'll begin another piece. And another. And another. The endless cycle of the weaver. But it's not endless in a bad way. Not monotonous or oppressive. Each piece is different. Each presents its own challenges. Its own satisfactions. And each piece serves a need. Becomes clothing. Becomes bedding. Becomes wrapping for precious things. Her work matters. It's not grand or glorious. But it's necessary. People need cloth. Need linen. Need what she makes. That gives purpose to the long hours. The careful attention. The constant care. She's part of something larger. The fabric of society. Literally. Providing one of the essentials of life. That's good work. Honest work. Meaningful work. Eventually, Kamwasit stands. I'm for sleep, he says. I'll join you shortly. He moves inside, toward the sleeping room. Nefert sits alone now, under the stars, in the quiet courtyard. This is her favorite moment. The end of the day. The stillness. The peace. Time to simply be. Without tasks. Without responsibilities. Just existing in the quiet. Her body is tired. Hours at the loom. The constant attention. The repetitive motions. But it's a good tiredness. The tiredness of work completed. Of productivity. She looks up at the stars. So many. Infinite. The ancient Egyptians believe each star is a soul. The blessed dead watching over the living. Nefert's mother among them perhaps. Watching. Guiding still. It's a comforting thought. Whether true or not. The connection to the past. To those who came before. To the long chain of weavers stretching back through time. And forward into the future. Through merit. Through her children someday. The craft continuing. The knowledge preserved. That matters. Nefert finally stands. Stretches. Her back protesting slightly. Stiff from the day's sitting. She moves through the courtyard. Checking things one final time. The fire is banked properly. The gate is secured. The water jar is covered. All in order. She moves to the sleeping room. Kamwasit is already in bed. Not asleep yet. Waiting for her. The children sleep soundly. Their small forms peaceful in the darkness. Nefert lies down beside her husband. The mat is familiar. Comfortable in its way. She pulls the linen sheet over herself. The room is warm. The night air still holding the day's heat. But bearable. Comfortable enough. Kamwasit's hand finds hers. A brief squeeze. A connection. No words needed. Just the acknowledgement. We're here. Together. Another day done. Nefert closes her eyes. In the darkness, images drift through Nefert's mind. The loom. Tall. Waiting. The warp threads hanging. Weighted. Tensioned. The shuttle moving through her hands. The weft thread trailing behind. The fabric growing. Row by row. Thread by thread. Pattern emerging. Merit's face. Concentrated. Learning. Hands fumbling then improving. Kamwasit's smile. The children's laughter. The simple meal shared. The workshop. The courtyard. The rhythm of work and rest. Small things. Ordinary things. The threads of life. Woven together. Creating something whole. Something complete. Nefert's breathing slows. Deepens. The images blur. Lose their edges. Her thoughts drift further from consciousness. The day releasing her. Into rest. Into sleep. Into the darkness that holds no demands. She's asleep now. Deeply. Peacefully. Her body still. Her face relaxed. The lines of concentration smoothed away. Beside her, Kamwasit sleeps. His breathing deep and even. The children sleep in their corner. Merit. Seti. Little Nefertari. All resting. All peaceful. The house is quiet. The courtyard is still. Outside, Thebes settles into night. The city of 100 gates. Center of an empire. But here, in this small house, there's only the quiet of a family at rest. The simple piece of work done and day ended. In the workshop, the loom stands in darkness. Covered. Protected. Waiting. The warp threads hanging. Tensioned. Ready. The fabric in progress. Partially complete. Waiting for tomorrow's work. The loom has stood through thousands of days. Will stand through thousands more. Different weavers. Different hands. But the same craft. The same purpose. Creating fabric. Turning thread into cloth. Providing one of life's essentials. The loom is patient. It waits through the night. Through every night. For the weaver to return. For the work to continue. For the shuttle to pass. For the fabric to grow. Row by row. Day by day. Length by length. The eternal rhythm of the weaver's craft. The thread that Nefret weaves is part of something larger. Flax grown along the Nile. Harvested. Processed. Spun into thread. Then woven into fabric. Cut and sewn into clothing. Or used for bedding. Or wrapping. Serving its purpose. For years perhaps. Then eventually wearing out. Being discarded. Returning to the earth. And new flax is grown. New thread is spun. New fabric is woven. The cycle continues. Endless. Eternal. And weavers like Nefret are part of that cycle. Essential links in the chain. Transforming raw material into useful product. Creating value. Serving need. Generation after generation. Weaver after weaver. The craft enduring. The knowledge preserved. The skills maintained. Through mothers teaching daughters. Masters teaching apprentices. The chain holding. Unbroken. From the distant past. Through the present. Into the unknowable future. As long as people need cloth, there will be weavers. As long as there are weavers, the craft will live. Thebes sleeps around them. Thousands of people. In thousands of homes. All resting. Weavers. Potters. Carpenters. Scribes. Farmers. Merchants. Priests. Soldiers. All the people who make the city function. Who keep the kingdom running. Each doing their part. Each contributing their skill. Their labor. All woven together. Like threads in fabric. Creating the complex pattern of civilization. No one person essential. But all people necessary. Each thread matters. Each contributes to the whole. Nefret is one thread. One weaver among many. But her work matters. Her contribution is real. The fabric she creates. The skill she maintains. The knowledge she passes on. All part of the greater pattern. All valuable. All meaningful. Tomorrow the sun will rise. The city will wake. The work will begin again. Nefret will return to her workshop. Uncover the loom. Continue weaving. Kenwaset will return to his carpentry. The children will play and learn. The rhythm will continue. Work and rest. Day and night. Activity and sleep. The eternal pattern. The way of life. Not always easy, but good. Meaningful. Complete. This is what it means to be human. To work. To create. To contribute. To be part of something larger than oneself. To weave one's life into the greater fabric of family. Community. Civilization. Thread by thread. Day by day. Generation by generation. The loom of existence. Constantly at work. Constantly creating. And weavers like Nefert are its servants. Its practitioners. Keeping the fabric strong. Keeping the pattern clear. One row at a time. The night is deep now. Complete darkness. Complete stillness. Nefert sleeps. Her family sleeps. The city sleeps. The loom stands in the workshop. Secured. Protected. Waiting. Tomorrow will bring its work. Its challenges. Its satisfactions. But that is tomorrow. Tonight, there is only this. Rest. Peace. The quiet certainty of work completed and a loom properly secured. Good night, Nefert. Good night, Kainwasit. Good night, Merit, Seti, and Nefertari. Good night to all the weavers of Egypt. Good night to the loom standing patient in the darkness. Good night to the threads waiting to be woven. May your sleep be deep and peaceful. May your rest be complete. May tomorrow find you ready to begin again. But for now, sleep. Just sleep. The loom is secured. The day is done. The threads are waiting. And all is well.